welcome to the Geneva Press Club. Welcome online as well for the people following us live stream on the Geneva Press Club webpage or, of course, on the Geneva Press Club social medias. The Geneva Press Club is very pleased and honored to welcome the Shivi Development Society for a press conference entitled Unraveling the Truth, a critical study of unmarked and unidentified graves in Kashmir Valley. The topic is both of historical and human importance. It tells about more than 4,000 unmarked and unidentified graves in Kashmir Valley. And young Kashmiri researchers from Save Youth, Save Future Foundation, a Srinagar-based NGO, carried out research, a very important research over a period of 6 years on those graves. And they can now present their report, which offers evidence to counter misinformation and propaganda regarding these graves. I welcome the panelists to this conference. They are both here in the Geneva Press Club, but also online from India. And I have the pleasure to give the floor to the moderator of the session, Sir Narender Kumar. Mr. Kumar is Chief Executive of Shivi Development Society. Mr. Kumar, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair of Geneva Press Club. And good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be able to come here, this far from the land of Kashmir and share our stories. Before we start, just a word about the two organizations that are involved in this session. One is Shivi Development Society. Shivi is an organization which started as a grassroots group. It still works not at the grassroots level, but over the past 15 years, it has also been working on policy issues and now accredited with the UN ECOSOC. The organization which really conducted this study, research, is Save Youth, Save Future, is a group of young people from Kashmir who feel that, truth be told, however inconvenient it may be. And I think that was the motivation behind undertaking this study. And I'm sure colleagues and friends, experts who are present here and present online, they will understand and appreciate the kind of work that has gone into preparing this research study. The scheme of the events, this session is that after my kind of introductory remarks, we have very, very experienced researcher and public policy analyst, Ms. Tehmeena Rizvi, who is here in person. She will start the discussion, and then we will be joined by three other colleagues from India who could not come here because they did not get visa in time. And as I said, all of them are very deeply involved in the human rights work in Kashmir. So hopefully by the end of this session, I think we would have definitely a better understanding of what is happening there, and possibly we will also have some ideas in the road ahead. So with these remarks, I welcome Tehmeena Rizvi, and as I said, she is a senior policy analyst. She is also a PhD scholar, by the way, and she has been working, undertaking academic research for over 8-9 years now. She is also a regular at Geneva Human Rights Council. So Tehmeena, over to you, and I think to you and all other speakers, I think what we will do is that we will speak for 6-7 minutes each, and then we will kind of open it up for questions from colleagues online and here, and possibly then we will have a second round in which you could respond. So over to you, Tehmeena.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. It is a privilege to be here to be part of this conversation. and it's an extremely important conversation. I am going to talk about something which sits at the intersection of conflict, research, and justice. The role of narratives in Kashmir, when we speak about Kashmir, we are not merely speaking about a geographical site. We are speaking of contested identities, layered histories, and an ongoing struggle over meaning. The question here is not only what happened in Kashmir, but how it is told and who tells the story. Conflict-affected regions across the world are inherently fragile, not only because of the violence that shapes them, but also because of the contest over representation and who represents them. Narratives, especially in places like Kashmir, they were never neutral. They became instruments of politics, of legitimacy, and sometimes, of course, of erasure. If we fail to integrate the way stories are constructed, we also risk accepting a partial truth, and we accept it as absolute or whole truth. And in this conversation, I think we must acknowledge that multiple stakeholders, how they play on this fragility. States, of course, are neighbors and other stakeholders and political actors. They often instrumentalize narratives to secure legitimacy. Media outlets and, of course, other lobbies, they nationally or internationally amplify certain perspectives while silencing others. Whatever suits a particular perspective, they'll just hold up to it. And I think this process has in between also sort of reduced Kashmir to headlines of only violence and security, while ignoring the complex nature of this place. Sometimes they frame the region only through the lens of crisis, without attending to its, as I said, social complexity. Even academics and researchers, they have also sort of done the similar thing. So when they write the academic papers, their work often overlooks what is the reality on the ground. We also risk reproducing the same asymmetries we try to counter. And that is one of the challenges which people who are trying to set different narratives or are trying to get stories from the ground, they often face these challenges. In this sense, fragility is not only a consequence of conflict, it is a terrain actively negotiated by these overlapping forces. And this is where academic inquiry plays a very crucial role. Ethnographic work, for instance, of course, as this report and my fellow panelists will speak about it, ethnographic work and ethnographic practices, these practices allow us to enter the everyday lives of people and to document lived experiences, document oral histories, understand lived realities of people, and also to understand how these things complicate the grand narratives of conflict. Say, for example, a mother's account of displacement, a young woman's interrupted education process, or the silence of another person, which probably international media lobbies try to sort of, flatten the curve here. They remind us that conflict is not lived only in battles or political negotiation, but in memory and in social relations. That is why I believe research in such regions must carry a double responsibility. It should be methodologically rigorous, but it also carries and withstands scrutiny and challenges reductionism. And it must be ethically grounded, that's our responsibility, so that it does not exploit or distort the very voices we seek to represent. Research in Kashmir is not only about knowledge production, it is rather, I would say, more about justice. And in my own work as researcher and as a public policy professional, I have consistently engaged with these questions of narratives. And I have written rigorously on Muslim women, Kashmiri women, on displacement, migration, and women's participation in peace and security frameworks. Across these fields, one lesson that remains constant is that our words, academics particularly, how they shape perceptions, and these perceptions further shape the policy. And we are not, and we cannot actually afford being passive observers. We are narrators, and our narration carries that power, and with that power comes the responsibility. That responsibility also brings us towards the conversation today that one of the starkest illustrations of narrative injustice in Kashmir lies in the existence of unmarked and unidentified graves, silent testimonies to conflict, but often unacknowledged in public discourse. These graves are more than physical sites now. They are sites of memory, silence, and of erasure. To study them is to sort of confront not only the human rights implications, but also the politics of forgetting, what is left unmarked, what is left unnamed, and at a risk of being left unremembered. This is why the research report my fellow panelists are going to discuss is so critical. It offers a systematic and rigorous examination of unmarked graves in the valley, and in doing so, it intervenes in the narrative. It asks us to reckon with absence, with politics of silence, and with the ethical obligation to remember. As we move forward, my hope is that conversations like these can anchor scholarship that is both academically sound and policy relevant. Because ultimately, fragile regions, as I said, like Kashmir, do not only require ceasefires or peace agreements, these require just, truthful narration. Without narrative justice, even political solutions remain incomplete. So as researchers, let us commit to the task of careful narration, resisting oversimplification, amplifying marginalized voices, and ensuring that our scholarship does not merely study people, but understands them. And for me, this is not an intellectual project, but sort of a personal commitment, one that continues to drive my research and my engagement with the people of Kashmir. Thank you.
Thank you, Tehmeena. I think you made some very important points, and also as a researcher and as an observer of what is happening there. But I guess, simply speaking, I think the two things that you underlined is who tells the truth. I think that's very important, who tells the truth. And secondly, sometimes the partial truth, if not contested or if, let's say, if not questioned, could be a little really more harmful than the not saying it at all. So to that extent, I think this report should have a very far-reaching sort of, implications in terms of restoring democracy, peace, order in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. And our next speaker, the one who is really involved, who was really involved in undertaking this study is Miss Anika Nazir. Anika is she works. She heads the women's program under the organization called Save Youth, Save Future, and she is the co-author of this study. Anika, obviously you will say what you have planned to say, but I think one question which would also be interesting to understand is what motivated you to undertake this study. I think that would also help us in giving the context of what you have done. So over to you, Anika, and as we said, you have about 6-7 minutes for your statement. Thank you.
I hope I'm audible to everybody. So just quickly answering your question that what motivated us to do this study. Well, it was our own curiosity to work on this study, and as this subject was discussed many times before, so as Kashmiris, we decided to study it by our own lenses and with clear methods and a fresh mind, and we decided to be together as researchers and as Kashmiris to know the truth and know the factual base of this subject. Coming towards what I'm going to present today in front of you. First of all, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share our 6 years research work with all of you. I'm Anika Nazir, social activist and Women's Wing President of Save Youth, Save Future Foundation from Jammu and Kashmir. And I'm here to share 6 years research work with all of you, which we conducted from 2018 to 2024. We conducted the first systematic field verified documentation of unmarked graves in Kashmir. Our approach employed what is common in ethnographic research, that is triangulation, verifying every finding through multiple independent sources to ensure credibility and eliminate speculations.
Anika, we cannot see you. Is there a connection issue?
Am I audible?
You are audible. Yeah. You are back now.
So sorry, there's this connection problem maybe. So to eliminate this speculation and to get the credibility on this subject, we did this report and we worked on this. Our methodology was comprehensive and rigorous. We conducted physical site visits in 373 graveyards across 4 critical border districts: District Baramulla, District Kupwara, District Bandipora, and District Ganderbal. We interviewed community members, including local residents, religious leaders, grave diggers, and missing members of family members of a missing person, and also the surrendered militants. We cross-checked findings with official records and existing documentation while creating photographic evidence and detailed mapping of grave sites. Every piece of data was verified across multiple channels. We deliberately focused on these 4 border districts because they represent the main infiltration routes and were most frequently cited in earlier reports of unmarked graves. While resource limitation restricted our initial study to these districts only, but we are planning to extend our research work throughout Jammu and Kashmir. Our documentation covered 4,056 graves, and the findings reveal a reality quite different from many prevailing assumptions. The majority of graves belong to militants, both foreign and local. A small percentage belong to civilians. We also documented 276 graves that remain genuinely unmarked and require forensic investigation through DNA techniques for proper identification. Interestingly, we also found graves of Pathan invaders from the 1947 conflict, which had been misclassified in earlier reports. This systematic classification brings clarity where there was once dangerous ambiguity. Our findings directly challenge both exaggerated claims and unverified assertions, offering instead a grounded perspective backed by 6 years of evidence and fieldwork. Importantly, we discovered that proper burial records existed in most cases, countering narratives of widespread, systematic, secret burials. These results represent more than academic findings. They offer a pathway towards healing. For too long, this issue has been clouded by speculations and competing political narratives. Our research aims to replace conjecture with evidence, rhetoric with facts, and polarization with nuanced understanding. As young Kashmiri students, we undertook this work with simple aspiration to help families find closure, to encourage evidence-based discourse, and to contribute to the long journey towards peace and reconciliation in our region. This study is not an end in itself, but rather a foundation for more constructive dialogue and ultimately healing for all communities affected by this conflict in Jammu and Kashmir. The path forward requires continued commitment to truth over convenience, evidence over ideology, and human dignity over political expediency. Only through such principles, I believe, we can serve both justice and peace in Jammu and Kashmir. Thank you so much.
I guess the first presentation itself, sets this kind of stage, the kind of the truth which have been sort of hidden so far could sort of find its way in the public discourse. It obviously required massive sort of courage to do this, and then secondly, I think the methodology that you have adopted, ethnographic studies, going to, place to place, and then also you are saying that you have found some graves from 1947. That's as you said that's going to be. Let's see. What kind of implication it has in future. So thank you very much, and good luck for your work in the time to come. Our second panelist, online panelist, is Mr. Wajahat Farooq Bhat. He is the president of Save Youth, Save Future Foundation. He is also one of the authors of this research study. So Wajahat, over to you for your intervention. You are mute. Can you unmute yourself? We cannot hear you. Yeah, it looks good now. No, not yet.
Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Hello. Thank you so much.
Yes,
good
please
afternoon,
go on.
ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. I'm Wajahat Farooq Bhat, chairman of Save Youth, Save Future Foundation. And today, I'm here to share some insights regarding our recent research study, Unmarked Graves, Unraveling the Truth, a critical study of unmarked and unidentified graves in Kashmir Valley. As I can say that as we have worked on ground from last 6 years, so a systematic documentation of 373 graveyards across 4 critical districts. As Anika earlier mentioned that District Baramulla, Kupwara, Bandipora and Gaunderbal reveals findings that challenge the dominant narrative. These districts bore the brunt of infiltration routes and counter-insurgency operations, making them crucial to understanding the reality of unmarked graves in Kashmir Valley. Out of 4,056 graves catalogued, the evidence tells a complex story. Nearly 2/3 belong to foreign militants who had infiltrated from across the line of control. These individuals carried no documents and were abandoned by the Pakistani state that had dispatched them. They were buried anonymously because no one came to claim them. Around 30% were local militants who had taken up arms under groups like Hizbul Mujahideen, Lashkar-e-Toiba, and others. Even if nameless in official records, these individuals were known to their communities and families. Most significantly, which is very important, only 6.8% of graves were genuinely unmarked. Within that small fraction, confirmed civilian graves number just 9 across all surveyed districts. This evidence fundamentally challenged the narrative of mass civilian graves that has been sustained for years in international forms. However, this issue extends beyond numbers and percentages. It reveals how narrative, ideology, and geopolitics can obscure ground realities. The Pakistani state's consistent refusal to acknowledge the bodies of its own dispatched militants represents both more moral abandonment, and political calculation. This abandonment served multiple political purposes. It allowed Islamabad to manufacture international outrage about Kashmir's mass graves, while simultaneously leaving those very fighters unclaimed in Kashmiri soil. Local communities were left to shoulder the moral and practical burial, the burden of burial. Meanwhile, this situation also served certain separatist political groups and advocacy organizations who could present these graves as evidence of systematic state atrocities without distinguishing between foreign infiltrators, local militants, and ordinary civilians. The international discourse became shaped by a narrative that was politically effective but empirically questionable. Much of the global conversation about Kashmir's unmarked graves has been built more on ideological foundation than on careful examination of evidence. This does not diminish the reality of loss and grief. The graves are real and the human cost is profound. But the story they tell is more complex than we have been led to believe. These graves speak primarily not of a systematic burying its reasons in secret, but of a conflict shaped by external intervention. They reveal a region caught between competing claims to sovereignty, where narrative itself becomes a battlefield. Understanding this complexity is essential for any serious engagement with Kashmir's humanitarian challenge. Only by grounding our analysis in evidence rather than any ideology. At last, can we hope to address the genuine human rights concerns while contributing meaningfully to peace and reconciliation in the region of Jammu and Kashmir? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Wajahat. If I understood you correctly, I think the one thing that we need sort of underlining is that in over 4,000 unmarked graves, 2/3 of them belong to foreign militants, and a very small number is actually of the local civilian population. I mean, if that is the truth and what the report says, then I guess the entire narrative of violence in Kashmir and the road to peace, I think we will have to be re-understood, I think within country and within the Jammu and Kashmir. And the fact that you have taken out this report, people I guess are in a much better sort of position to understand and accept this fact that this is the truth. But I think globally also this would need a lot of rethinking among human rights advocates and people who sort of set narratives. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and some of the data from the report. Our third colleague is speaker also from the Kashmir, Mr. Mudasir Dar. He's also an activist at local level and the one who has contributed in writing this report. So Mudasir, over to you, please.
Thank you very much, sir. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Mudasir Dar. I am a social activist, writer, and one of the co-authors of this special report. Let me begin with this, that the Kashmir Valley has long stood at the crossroads of political conflict, violence, and competing national and international narratives. Since the late 1980s, the region has witnessed significant violence, resulting in loss of life, displacement, and lasting trauma. Among the various humanitarian and legal controversies that have actually emerged from this conflict is the issue of this unmarked and unidentified graves across several districts of the Kashmir Valley. As had my two other colleagues pointed out, these graves raise difficult yet crucial questions regarding the identity, accountability, and the human cost of conflict. It is very much important to understanding the reality of these unmarked graves in Kashmir, and it requires moving beyond simplistic explanations. We must examine this issue through a comprehensive lens that considers the wider dynamics of this conflict. one that documents violation by both state and non-state actors, and situates the phenomena within its historical and political context. To address these questions systematically, our team conducted a field-based research across 373 graveyards, 373 I mean, in three northern districts and one in the central Kashmir district. And the northern districts are like Baramulla, Kupwara, and Bandipora, and among the central Kashmir is Gaanderbal. This comprehensive study documented what my colleagues have already mentioned, around 4,056 graves, and employed rigorous classification methods to determine their origins and markings. The survey revealed striking findings that challenged the prevailing narratives that have been actually onto the ground before this all. Nearly 2/3 of the graves contained foreign militants who had infiltrated from across the line of control. About 30% were local militants affiliated with armored groups such as Hizbul Mujahideen and Lashkar-e-Taiba. And most significantly, the important thing is only 6.8%, what my earlier colleagues had already just mentioned about, were genuinely unmarked graves. And within that small category, there is that confirmed civilian graves numbered just 9 across all the surveyed districts that we had took so far. These findings complicated the discourse surrounding unmarked graves in Kashmir. They challenge two problematic narratives that those automatically attribute all unidentified graves to systematic state-led disappearances. There is one narrative that they had, and those that dismiss the entire issue as mere propaganda. Our research demonstrates that any credible study must resist both extremes, offering instead an accurate and a balanced account of this all. The evidence-based approach required long-term field presence of our colleagues and field research teams, and systematic methodology in particular. It recognized the operational challenges faced by the Indian security forces amid ongoing militancy here in the Kashmir Valley, while also addressing the legitimate human rights concerns of affected communities. Such nuanced analysis is essential when dealing with issues that have been heavily politicized and misrepresented in the past. Our research fills critical gaps in existing scholarship by combining systematic field documentation with rigorous analysis of available literature. The primary goal was to contribute to a more factual and empirically grounded understanding of these unmarked, unknown graves here in Kashmir Valley. One that resists exaggeration, and another thing is, and foreground is the lived realities of this conflict. These findings have important implications for policy, human rights advocacy, and academic research on Kashmir particularly. They suggest that effective solutions require precise understanding rather than broad generalizations. Moving forward, continued research with similar methodological rigor will be essential for addressing the genuine human rights concerns while maintaining scholarly integrity and contributing to informed dialogue about this complex conflict. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think you also kind of reiterated what has been said by two other colleagues. And in terms of healing and road to reconciliation, I guess this should kind of give a sense of what should we say, reassurance to the local population in Kashmir, that despite the fact that it has the truth has been sort of distorted, or let's say partially told, the facts are the life is not really that bad. It has not been that sort of it is full of complexities, no doubt, undoubtedly, but I think there has been a lot of emphasis on the negative aspects of how the state has been governed. So we have done the first round of our speakers, and now we can take some questions. What we will do is that first we will open it to the colleagues who are present here in person, if they have something to ask or share, and then we can also go online. Those people who have joined online, if they have anything to contribute. So from the audience, if there is anything to share, discuss, please. Yes, please.
Thank you so much. First of all, I'd really like to applaud the kind of research that has happened. It's not easy. And this research has been over the past 6 years. I understand how complex Kashmir is. And I think the bigger question here, like you rightly said, is the narratives, and the narratives without any evidence, really. And this, I think, can be a very nice starting point for us to start with evidence-backed narratives. But my question is, how have you thought about the plan? What do you plan to do with this evidence, and how would you tell this real story to the rest of the world? Because it is all a question of narratives today. People, unfortunately, don't have too much of a attention span. There's just too much content around. In this kind of a scenario, how would you actually give the truth to people? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a great question, and thank you for this question. One is obviously what happens within Kashmir now with this report, but at the same time, as you said, that there are narratives, and in this competing sort of race for narratives all around what is happening in the world, it would be really something, it would require a lot of effort to that. But I'll leave it to Tehmeena and other colleagues who want to respond to a question. Yes, please.
You plan to take this up with international bodies, submit this evidence to international bodies like the UN and other places where, because you have the documentation, do you plan to do that?
Thank you so much. I think the first important pointer is that what we are trying to do through such research is our attempt to start a dialogue, at least, to sort of try to deconstruct what has been done earlier. And what matters for us, as I said, is ground reality and how we are trying to put these ethnographic practices into thorough academic research. And for international lobbies, definitely that would also be one of the sort of target, that because there have been a lot of conversations going across, like about Kashmir, of course. And we would want that we as Kashmiris, I'm particularly saying, we would want that Kashmiri researchers who have been there on the ground, and of course 6 years is a huge time frame, and if they have witnessed something for these long 6 years, we would definitely want to start a discussion and a dialogue with the international lobby. And it also matters at a point where I told you that, I earlier mentioned that what academics has done has flattened the curve. So we are trying to bring the normal perspective, or probably different perspective, on the table, so that at least it starts a dialogue and a discussion. Further, how it leads into the process and where it snowballs, that probably we leave to the report. But yeah, that's one of the attempts. Thank you.
Okay, any other question?
Thank you so much. My name is Bilal Baloch. I'm from the media. I really appreciate the people from the Kashmir to coming here in Geneva Press Club to highlight the issues, which really we don't know. But when the word Kashmir comes, we know the cross-border terrorism, the Pakistan and all. So I just want to ask you, is there any involvement of the Pakistan in this research? Can you find something from the Pakistan side and Pakistan involvement? No.
You mean accepting the data or countering the data? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. You also have another? Okay.
Have you? I was just inquisitive to know if you had, because you've done the research and you say there are terrorists who are indeed from across the border. Did you submit that evidence, and what was the reaction?
Okay. Can we take it to, let's say, Wajahat and Anika also? Two questions. The one that was, what happens now with this report, and what is the response, or if there is any sort of response from the cross-border. Anika, Wajahat, or Mudasir, any one of you?
So can you please repeat the question?
The first question was, now you have the report. What do you intend to do with this? How it helps in your, because ultimately the research, even if it's let's say pure research, it has to lead to something, and in the context, especially in this context that we are talking about. So what is the plan?
So the primary plan of this research is that to form a base of truthful information for, first of all, for the people of Jammu and Kashmir, for the rest of the country, and for international community and researchers who seek the clarity on the subject. So we are bringing that clarity for all the people who are seeking any information. And information is information when it has truthful base. So we are bringing that truthful empirical base for each and everybody. And what was the second question, sir?
The second question was about how the people from across the border taking this study.
So I don't know how they are going to take it, but as far as I know, and as per my research, the number of foreign militants is 2,493 in 4 districts. If we extend our research to other districts, maybe the number can go high. So this was the so-called intervention of the cross-border in Jammu and Kashmir. Let's just see how they are going to react, and maybe they will start, denying the fact, like they denied the bodies, accepting the bodies of their fighters who they sent to Jammu and Kashmir to disrupt the peace in Kashmir.
Because from the human rights perspective, I think even their families, those foreign militants, they need some closure, no? And
yes, sir. When it comes to the, we have recommended it in our report also that the fighters they have sent, at least the dead body deserves dignity. Their families deserve to know where their people are, and there should be, as per the international norms, the open dialogue for visiting the grave sites of these people whose family members are living in Pakistan, but they don't even know where their people have gone. So they were in Kashmir, in the graves of Kashmir as foreign militants. So yes, there is a humanitarian concern when it comes to the people of common people of Pakistan and the family members of these grave occupants who are living in Pakistan. So there is this humanitarian concern we have also raised in our report. Yeah.
Wajahat or Mudasir, you want to add, any one of you? Quickly.
Yes, sir.
I think Ms. has already talked about the subject, sir. We just our main intention was to bring out a clarity onto the subject, because there were a set of narratives that was going in and around across here in Kashmir also and around the world, all about these unmarked graves. So I should bring out a clarity and a truth about this, all what this subject is all about, because we are being hearing from our parents, grandparents, and our friends and other colleagues as well, that these graves do belong to the unmarked. They are unmarked in that way. We don't know the identity of these all. So the global audience should, our main focus was to, bring out the clarity in the public domain, whether the audience is that of a Kashmir, whether the audience is that of a global audience or for our own nation, to bring out a clarity as to whom these graves do actually belong to. And as Anika had already mentioned, the majority of the graves do belong to the Pakistani militants. And this is what they had been back and again when they had been the encounters or something like that. They had already been they had been denying the bodies of the fighters or so whatever who had crossed the line of control at that time. So I think more will be upon all such people. We haven't shared, but we had put it on a public domain. So let's see what their reaction could be upon this all. But our focus was, to get the clarity on the subject facts. And I think with this rigorous research and everything like that, with the clear methodology, we had just been successful in doing that all.
Thank you.
And additionally, I want to add some other thing as well.
Yes.
Our research study will shortly be available on our website, Save Youth Safe Future Foundation, and through this platform, that the families of the Pakistani militants can also check our study, and if their own loved ones are in Kashmir, they can send the mail, they can contact us, we can give them the details of their the family members who crossed the border and they were killed in different encounters in different places of Kashmir. Thank you.
Yeah, very important. Yes, absolutely. Are there any questions or queries from the colleagues who have joined online? Anyone? They can raise their hand and then, yeah. Hello? No questions. Okay. Anyone from here? Or Tehmeena, you would like to respond also to the second question?
Yeah, I think for the courage part, I think it's our responsibility to do so, because we are probably doing it for other women and also for the next generation, and I consider it my responsibility, and so do my fellow panelists. And about the Pakistani part, I would also like to comment on that one, that probably they're not going to digest it so easily, because as I said, that the first thing and the first priority for them has been to play around with the fragility. So over all these years, they have tried to sort of gain a lot of limelight to play around that victimhood and to play around that narrative. So it is for us to now actively pursue and try to change that. So probably they're not going to digest it well. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so it seems that, we have done a bit of, I think also the brainstorming apart from the presentation of facts. And I think the ideas, the fact that, this team, Save Youth, Save Future, they motivated themselves and probably, had that. It's a massive sort of work, in terms of simple research. And then, making it credible, it's I think the entire team needs congratulations. Thank you for undertaking this study. So that's fun now. In terms of next steps, I think it needs a lot of dissemination, first within Kashmir, the state of Kashmir. Okay, and then also within India, I think before we also think about, narratives. It seems that there are 2 questions from our online audience. Please identify yourself first, and then ask your question or comment, whatever you have. Sorry, voice. Sing.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, this is Amarjit from Delhi. So I heard the panelists, and it's a very important study they have conducted. So I was having one question, that it's a very important study for the authorities, local authorities, and also. So whether they have shared the data with the local authority, and what was their local authority and media, local media, and what was their response or if they have any plan, if they have not done so yet.
Okay, thank you. Local authority means you mean like district administration,
Government,
state government. Okay.
State government.
Okay, thanks. Anyone, Wajahat, you want, since you are on screen?
Yeah. Yeah, I can. Am I audible now?
Yeah.
As far as now, we recently, it was a kind of inauguration ceremony. I can say the report release ceremony, and there were so many copies which we distribute. It's not specific. We shared with the government and other, other officials. It's open now for everyone, not for government, not for from people of Pakistan, not for people from America, everyone. Not, it's open for everyone. Everyone can read this, and now we finally, shortly this study will be available on our website as well. So everybody can reach, everybody can go through this study and they can share their, reviews and all that which we have done on ground.
Okay, I think that's a fair sort of strategy. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one.
Yeah. Please identify yourself.
From Delhi. Bhrigu Bhardwaj from Delhi.
Okay.
First of all, I would like to thank you for such an insightful discussion and congratulations on bringing out this important study. What impact do you think the findings will have on the perceptions around the Kashmir Valley, both around the local communities and the security forces? And do you think this could help improve relation and trust between the people of the valley and the state?
Yeah, I think that's a very valid and important question. One is the healing and the reconciliation that you have said. The secondly, is it going to help in some ways in improving the relations with the state and the local populations? Do you understand the question, Wajahat?
Yeah. Okay, I would like to
Okay, Anika.
answer this question. We don't know how it is going to fill the gap between the relationship between the government, the administration, and the people, and between the people. But I am definitely sure about the clarity of truth that it will definitely form a base of reconciliation, long-term reconciliation. Because as we all know, people of Jammu and Kashmir have gone through a lot of trauma from, this conflict has almost affected each and every single home in Kashmir. This report will bring a sort of base that will offer them a clarity, that will offer them a beginning of reconciliation, beginning of healing. And when there is healing, reconciliation, definitely there will be a beginning of good relations, not with the administration only, with the people, between the people, with the people of other regions, So I'm sure about this, that the healing and the reconciliation part, we were more focused on that also in this report and this research, this study, that it will let people share whatever they are feeling, and share whatever they have gone through, and share whatever they think about this research.
Thank you. I think you have made it very, very clear that the hope is that there would be healing and there would be reconciliation. And if they are happy people, probably, they will have happy sort of relations. I would like to just sort of, close एक शेर है about this healing thing कि हम गम ज़दा हैं लाएं कहाँ से खुशी के गीत, हम गम ज़दा हैं लाएं कहाँ से खुशी के गीत, देंगे वही जो इस जहाँ से पाएंगे. So, if people are happy, there is healing and there is reconciliation. Probably if they are happy with themselves, I think that's the first thing. There has been a lot of trauma. People have started sort of living with trauma. That has become the norm. And if this report in some ways, helps in some self-exploration, then I think the other things will follow. So with this, I think that we have done the questions. There's one more. Okay, there's one more question with us.
Thank you very much. My name is Ghulam Rasool Dehlavi, and I'm International Affairs Head at Voice for Peace and Justice, Jammu and Kashmir.
Yes,
I would
please.
like to greatly appreciate Safe Youth and Safe Future for carrying out such a seminal research work, such a wonderful work. In fact, this report, I think, it's not a question but an observation. This report, I think, is a competing and challenging report with new dynamics. If we look back at earlier reports, so the discovery of unmarked and unidentified graves across parts of the Kashmir Valley as one of the region's most contested and painful issues. Early field inquiries and human rights investigations reported thousands of unmarked graves and raised different possibilities. But I think this report, this investigation, this field study challenges the mass grave narrative. This argues that a large share of such graves contain deceased combatants, militants, cross-border terrorists, rather than civilians. And therefore, this study, I think, undertakes a critical evidence-based examination of the unmarked graves question in Kashmir. And more importantly, from a purely, methodological point of view, I think it conducts primary source inquiries, archival, oral histories, feasible and ethical forensic review, and thus it proposes standards for transparent investigation. I congratulate, and I would also like to, appreciate with an Urdu couplet where Ghalib says that जागना है जाग ले अफलाक के साए तले जागना है जाग ले अफलाक के साए तले हश्र तक सोता रहेगा खाक के साए तले. As long as you are awake, at least be awake as long as you are alive. After that, you'll have to, you'll not have to, you will no longer you will have to be awake. So this report is an awakening. It's actually uprising. Thank you very much.
Ghulam Rasool, it would have been really happy if you were here now in these sort of corridors, but thank you. And I think, although I don't know to what extent this was a counter to the earlier reports, but definitely, I mean, if it sounds like that, so be it. Because what I think I will do, I like to repeat what Tehmeena had said in her initial remarks, that it's important. I mean, facts could be the same, but who tells the truth and who sets the narrative, I think, is more important. With the same unmarked graves, you have seen a narrative which has been running for decades, and then you have now this report. So one will have to deal with this both as human rights community, as at local level, international level, and also the people who are on governance. So any other Tobias hands? So thank you so much. Thank you everyone. It has been a wonderful sort of discussion, and thank you all the panelists, Tehmeena, Anika, Wajahat, and Mudasir, and also our best wishes, for continuation or deepening of this work. I think this is very important, and obviously you are not doing it for anyone else. You are doing it for yourself as Kashmiris. I think that's the most important thing. So thank you very much. And from now onwards, I think you can always say, or we as human rights people should ask, when the report comes, that, well, let's say, in God we trust and everyone else bring data. So unless you bring data, I think people will sort of still question that. So thank you very much. And also I would like to thank Geneva Press Club, Tobias and his colleague. You have been wonderful in supporting. It was a very short notice from our side. And also colleagues who are present here and who joined online. Thank you, everyone. This is the beginning, and I guess we will be in touch in one way or the other. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you so much.